You're listening to the Talking Air Filtration podcast, where you get to know the people that make air filtration possible and help us all breathe easier. Because clean air matters.
We'll get insights from air filtration professionals and learn how they became successful in their careers. Along the way, we will discuss best practices, guidelines, trends, and challenges in air filtration in a variety of applications. We hope HVAC, air filtration, and indoor air quality pros, including business development, engineering, building owners, and facilities management, will enjoy the insights our guests will bring to this podcast. Hi, everyone. It's Tony Veroeven, and we're talking air filtration with Jim Rosenthal and Patrick Rosenthal of Tex Air Filters. They're based in Texas, and I know you've got some regions or regional offices, so we'll talk to you guys about that as well. We are talking to Jim and Patrick via Zoom here. I'd love to get you guys together, in person, but this is the next best thing here with some great technology here. So, welcome, Patrick and Jim.
Good morning, Tony.
Morning, Tony.
I really enjoy talking about NAFA. I know you guys are both very passionate for NAFA and about the industry. So I'm really excited to get you guys together. And then I'm also going to schedule some individual time where we can go a little deeper. But today, would love to talk to you guys about the business of air filtration and talk about your business in particular. So Jim, now you've been around in air filtration for quite some time. Tell us the name of your business, kind of where you're based, how many employees you got, and kind of some of those vitals.
Well, we started in the air filter business in 2000. We started a company that had retail stores. We decided to expand, and we bought a small air filter manufacturing company. Then as soon as we got it, we realized that we didn't know what they were doing, and we were going to go broke. We figured the best way to learn about the business is to talk to people who know something about the business. That year, I decided to go to a NAFA meeting in Orlando, Florida. We didn't have any money, so I stayed in the Motel 6 instead of the conference hotel. But I met some really great people, learned a lot. Many of those people are still friends today, 20 years later, and realized that this was a business that was a good one for us, and this was the direction that we needed to go with our company. Since that start, we actually a manufacturer as well as a distributor. We've expanded our manufacturing. We have offices and distribution facilities in Fort Worth, Austin, Dallas, San Antonio, and Houston. We have about 200 employees. Business is good. We keep growing. We've been growing on a double-digit rate for many years. Continue to do so. We're having a big year in 2024. There are really some great things about the industry that make it a very attractive place to have a business. One is it's a product that's needed, and knowledge about air filtration is very important when people are concerned with indoor air quality and maintenance of equipment for that matter. And number two, it's a repeat business. From the start, I said it's going to be like starting a snowball or making a snowman. You start out with a snowball and you just keep rolling it, and it becomes a snowman that gets getting bigger. And that's the scenario that we've gone through. NAFA is very important to us. And you've been there during the AHR meetings when I talk to new people and try to explain to them why it is a benefit to them. But there's nothing better than being in an environment where you have people trying to solve the same problems. And you can talk to them, they can give you feedback, they can give you suggestions, you can give them suggestions. So the fact that it's a distributor and manufacturing organization makes it the ideal place for somebody who's starting a business or trying to grow their business in air filtration. If there's the best training, you have opportunities to be a certified air filtration specialist. You can train your people in how to install filters. It's great literature on that. It's just a really good organization.
Tell us a little bit about your involvement in the company, and then I'd love to get your input and hear your opinion on just kind of the collaboration in this industry, and how this is a competitive market, right? But on the other hand, it's such a supportive, collaborative environment when we get to NAFA, when we get under the roof of NAFA.
The involvement in the industry, our business is a little different than some other family businesses that are in the air filtration industry. When I was in high school, my dad started those retail stores, which were initially, pretty exciting. And then it didn't really pan out the way that we wanted it to. And he didn't start the air filtration business till I was in college. The exposure that I had was more a little bit as a older child. And what happened is that I went to the University of Texas and basically majored in liberal arts and didn't really have much of a path for a career when I graduated that I was certain of. But I knew I liked sales, and I had done some internships. I'd worked in those retail stores. Sales was exciting to me. I enjoyed the process of it. I enjoyed the reward of it. And when I graduated, I had that exposure through my dad, through Tex Air Filters, that air filtration is a good business. And if you just look around, in Texas, but in anywhere, I mean, the opportunity is endless. Everywhere you see air conditioning systems, your eyes light up as an air filtration salesperson, and you can see the opportunity. What happened was I kind of put two and two together and said, there's a lot of opportunity here. I like sales. Why don't I just start selling air filters? And I did that by starting to sell filters with an old used minivan and some public storage facilities that we had. They allowed us to get, and kind of grew the business to where we, started to get trucks, and then the facility, and then a larger facility. So the benefit that I had from the family was that I had exposure to the air filtration industry. It's kind of an odd industry. Not a lot of, young professionals are probably aware that there is a good career in selling air filters commercially. And so that was a huge benefit. And I have had a lot of mentoring from my dad. He's been extremely helpful. I mean, probably the first 5 years, we'd talk 3 times a day on different things. So there's that piece too. Collaboration in the industry, that's a great question. And I think NAFA provides this kind of like a dynamic where you're working hard to sell filters kind of against the other people in your region that you end up, serving on the same committee as, or sitting at the table at a NAFA event with, and kind of getting along with. And I think that the bottom line there is that we all understand that professionalism is hugely beneficial to the industry as a whole. That if I'm selling air filters and I'm selling them against or to the same customer base as someone who is also a NAFA member, what that does is it allows the customer to get presented with product and a service that makes sense, that's going to be effective, and you don't have to continually try to re-educate people in your region on how to, filter their air effectively. There's a lot of professionalism. So yeah, I would rather have other NAFA members that are involved in NAFA in my cities and regions that were selling filters any day of the week.
It's the old adage of at high tide, all ships rise, right? If you're going to lose some business, hopefully you don't, but if you lose some business, you'd rather have it to be a friend in the industry who has the same ethics, the same conduct, the same goals as you do to elevate the whole industry.
Exactly.
Fantastic. Tell me a little bit. I guess I'm really interested in, obviously air filters don't sell themselves, but I'd love to hear, kind of leaning into the sales aspect of this from both of you. I'd love to hear what is different about selling filters since the pandemic, right? Obviously, the demand went. We had several meetings at NAFA. We talked about supply and demand and all these charts and graphs. What's different about the industry now that we still need Patrick and Jim to get out there and call customers, right?
Well, I can answer that. During the pandemic, there was a lot of emphasis on MERV 13 filters. And as you said, most of our meetings, all our meetings during that time, we had a session, usually a panel of people, suppliers, trying to give us some idea of what they were anticipating in terms of raw materials for making filters. And it was a battle every day. Obviously, the market for MERV 13 filters has gone down in the last several years. The need for good filters, supplying on time, consistent quality, consistent support for customers, those things haven't changed. I mean, there was some business that came in, same customers that they moved from a MERV 10 pleated filter to a MERV 13 pleated filter, same filter opening. So obviously there was an increase in sales from that, but we continue to grow. It was some easy sales, but the end of the day, the filter openings are still there. They need to be, you need to have filters in them, and to be adaptable is really important. I think what we found that's the most important thing is to be responsive to our customers. That's true in any industry. Filtration is a little different in that there aren't just 100 products, but 100 sizes or whatever. Mechanical contractor may come in with an order that has 200 filters, and anybody can supply 150 of those. But the 50 that are odd sizes and more difficult to come by, that's the opportunity for distributors like us, where we can be responsive and respect the time and knowledge of our customers and their technicians. As a distributor / manufacturer, that's what we focus on. Keep our customers happy and keep adding customers. So good industry from that point of view, and one that has a great opportunity to continue to grow. We're getting better at upgrading the filtration and systems throughout our area. I think there's a great future for us as well.
Patrick, when you talk to customers, what is the biggest thing that they still don't understand about filtration?
I think the customer is a little different in application to application. And I think that's really important to understand when it comes to air filtration. Sometimes, I don't know if it's marketing materials or where they get the ideas, but the idea that one individual filter will work the exact same in every single application that a customer has is probably the biggest obstacle that we encounter as far as education goes, because there are lots of situations where, like let's say you take a school, for example, and somebody says, well, I have this filter that's going to last 6 months. It's going to last 6 months in the school. You use this filter, it will last 6 months. Well, in certain areas of the school, that's probably very true. There could be some regular HVAC equipment that is in a mechanical room, stays in pretty good shape, or multiple rooftop units that pull in, an equal amount of air regularly. But then there's also filters that are in the hallway of the school, in the opening hallway where all the kids come in the morning and leave in the afternoon. And it's a 1-inch, they got 1-inch grills in there. Well, that's not a very good idea to try to say that each filter in each application is going to act the exact same way. You've got to be very careful about applications, and that is another really important thing when you're training salespeople about asking questions. If you're going in and you're telling somebody, I got this product and it's the latest, greatest thing, and you need to buy it because it's going to change the way that you do everything, and so on and so forth, and you never give the person a chance to speak about their needs and answer their questions and really, take notes about what their applications are. As that sales process goes along, you will encounter problems and also problems after the sale is made with customer service and having to, speak to your technicians who are there on the ground. So I'd say really trying to get the end user to understand application is very, very important to choosing the right air filter for you.
Are your air filtration personnel NAFA certified? Ask if they belong to NAFA and have their certified air filter specialist or NAFA certified technician designations. The CAFS and NCT designations are earned after rigorous exams and demonstrate that the air filtration professional has a high degree of knowledge and professionalism. To learn more about NAFA certifications, visit nafahq.org. From a sales standpoint, this is true of your whole life too, but it sounds like, reading between the lines, what isn't the customer saying, right? If you don't ask it, they're probably not going to tell you, right? So what?
Yes.
Asking those questions of the applications. If they don't tell you they have a certain filter, maybe they're not even aware there's a deep, dark area of the building that they're not even aware of.
Sure. And there's momentum to it, right? There's a momentum to it. If you're asking questions and listening, you can get people to start talking about themselves and start talking about the filters and the issues they're having with their current company and so on. But, if you're chatty Cathy and they're going in and just continuing to talk about yourself, people just kind of start thinking about something else and what they got going on and ready to move on to the next thing. So yeah, that's absolutely right. You got to ask, you got to try to read between the lines, and you got to have an open mind.
I always say that selling's really easy. Just ask a few questions, listen. Your customer's going to tell you what they want, and you give it to them. Not hard.
Don't make it complicated, right?
Right.
Totally.
And the other old, trope of like, you got two ears and one mouth sort of thing. So use those proportionately, sort of thing, right?
That's right.
I'm an old sales guy. I remember all that stuff that my sales managers have told me, right? Shut up. Tell me a little bit about, what do you feel like, obviously, you guys have been around, since 2000, going on, 25 years here soon. What do you guys think makes you guys successful?
What makes Tex Air Filters successful is the people. That we have a dedicated plan from the top down is to support our leaders in particular, but then also all of our salespeople and technicians and drivers and warehouse. We would not be successful without our people that are dedicated to our organization. I mean, that's the big thing. There's one thing to get good people and to be able to hire good people with attractive opportunities, but there's a whole other piece of that, which is to retain those employees over time. So I think we've done a pretty good job of keeping our good people and our best people and supporting them. That's probably what makes us the most successful.
I think the biggest part of that is we're very lucky to have good managers, and Patrick's one of our stars. But I'd like to emphasize that he's earned everything that he has in terms of his own work, not because he won the gene pool and he's my son. So he's very good. People in every one of the branches are very good. They're very dedicated. They're compensated well. I think they're happy. They're supportive. As you know, we had 23 people in a meet in Hawaii. I just talked to somebody yesterday. He was a manufacturer, and they said, "How did you do that? Or why did you do that?" And the reason why is to support exactly the type of environment that we're talking about. These people are important. Everyone that was there is an important person in our organization. I wish we could have had more. It's a good investment for the company, but also it's a great learning experience for the people who are able to go. They learn that there are other people in the industry. They talk to other people in the industry. And then I think they're proud of the fact that they were selected to be there, that they earned their way to go. And that continues to make the bond stronger between our employees, managers, and the company. I was really proud of us being there in such numbers. So it was good.
Yeah, and also, Tony, just to touch on that a little bit, Maui was phenomenal. I mean, we as a board, and I am the president of NAFA this year, but I've been on the board for many years, and we were concerned about numbers. Are we going to get people over to Maui and enough numbers for the conference to sustain itself? And it kind of shows that you participate in an organization like Air Filtration in the way that it is currently with NAFA and the companies that are part of NAFA, that you do get rewarded in these really special ways. And, that's something that Maui did, right? It allowed these companies that are members of NAFA to really reward their employees. And, there's a lot of opportunities like that. Even the regional technical conferences are really special for a lot of people. And that is a piece that, he said, taking all these people to Hawaii. And I just thought, what an incredible way to reward your employees.
For sure. I think that, well, first of all, thanks for supporting NAFA, right? Thanks for bringing all those folks. I remember, in those board meetings, several years ago when Maui came up, and I'm like, Maui or Hawaii? Really? We're going to go to Hawaii? Yeah. Are enough people going to be able to do that, right? So, yeah. And yeah, it was fantastic. It was a great time. It's also it's one of these benefits that's not on the brochure, right? It's this collaboration, it's this organic feel, right? And so we can say like, you get networking and you get access to education and training and all of this, right? But it's more than that, right? And that's why I love associations so much, because there is this in between the lines sort of thing that you just can't put your finger on. And right. And being able to reward your employees with training on a great trip where it's a mixture of a vacation, but also there was actually some solid content there as well, is just something you can't really quite put your finger on.
For sure.
And I think it's important to emphasize that NAFA is part of supporting for us, it's part of supporting the industry. We're going to be as successful as the air filtration industry is. So things that we do, Patrick and I both have done lots of training, have done lots of programs. I was a past president, we were a past president as well. But everything that we do for NAFA, we feel is a benefit to us. It's the pay is making the industry better. Well, we're clearly a more professional industry than we were 20 years ago. There's no question that the level of knowledge, participation, everything is better than it was. And I think one of the reasons for that was we have a good association. I would encourage anybody in the industry to be involved in the association. There's an old saying that any volunteer work is like the bottom of a Coke bottle. No deposit, no return. So if you don't put some effort into being involved in the organization, you're going to get nothing out of it. But if you put something into it, and I'm really proud of Patrick, I mean, and there are other people that have continued to volunteer. That's important because it helps our business, and it helps our people who have respect for us because we are supporting the industry. That's really a critical part of our mission is to not only be a filter company, but also be part of the air filter industry. So, and NAFA is a great way to do that.
As we come in for a landing, Patrick or Jim, anything you want to add to that you want to make sure that your listeners hear?
I think one thing I'd like to touch on a little bit is where do we think NAFA is going? Where are some places in the future that really show some opportunities for us? And I think one of those is research. The NAFA Foundation has put out an RFP for a research project this year, and Jim actually through his fishbowl donation program at the conferences where these generous companies will match the donations, have raised considerable amounts of money for the NAFA Foundation. That money needs to be invested, and it needs to be invested in research, and that's going to advance our industry. One of the biggest things during the pandemic was the MERV 13 filters, the ASHRAE paper that recommended MERV 13 as a way to mitigate some of the virus, and that was from a NAFA research project. The ASHRAE got that information. So these projects are very important, and I really am enjoying this process of getting this RFP, and I'm looking forward to that.
And I think another benefit of the foundation is that we're able to give scholarships to any employee of any company that's a member of NAFA, the children of the interns or the employee there. It's always been the children of the employee. So again, we're trying to, as a foundation, we're trying to raise the bar to make us a better industry that supports our people.
Excellent. Well, Jim and Patrick, when we talk individually, we'll certainly dive more into NAFA. We'll talk about research. We'll talk about the foundation. Jim, we'll talk about your passion for that, and I know that a lot of past presidents head over to the foundation and serve on that board as well. So we'll talk about that when we have our individual conversations as well. So I want to thank you guys. This is a great. I mean, we could talk all day. We could talk about a lot of different things, but as they say, we'll leave them wanting more. So hopefully that was entertaining and insightful, and we really appreciate Jim and Patrick, you guys taking some time to talk to our listeners.
Thank you, Tony. We appreciate what you do as well. You do it very proficiently. So thank you.
All right, thank
Excellent.
you. My
Thank
pleasure.
you, Tony.
All right, thanks so much. We've been talking air filtration with Jim Rosenthal and Patrick Rosenthal. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Talking Air Filtration podcast, a production of the National Air Filtration Association. Clean air matters.